Greetings. Welcome to another in this series on Tai Chi, Qigong. I'm Michael Gilman. We're going to look at and examine some of the finer points of Tai Chi practice, the deeper inner work of Tai Chi, how to effectively generate and move the internal energies and to focus them. Tai Chi is what's called an internal energy exercise, and it's very important that we focus on the inside of the body, how we're feeling on the inside of our body, as opposed to what the action is accomplishing. It's not sort of like, where you got to, it's how you got there. That's really important in Tai Chi. And particularly as we study, it's very difficult to put together all of the practices that we will eventually be able to call forth in order to master Tai Chi. All the internal work. There's so many various facets. And what's important and why Tai Chi is done so slowly is it gives us time to focus, time to look at some principle. And what I recommend to most all of my students is, like today, we're going to talk about 3 or 4 different things. When you go through your practice, don't try and integrate all 3 or 4 of these different ideas at one time. Take one thing, work on it, practice it until it sort of becomes automatic. Then you don't have to think about it anymore. You can then go on and work on something else, and then that gets integrated, and maybe you have to go back and review a little bit. But it's just like learning any skill. Once you've learned it, it's like how to ride a bicycle. At first you have to think about it and all that. But once you've mastered the internals of riding a bicycle, you don't have to think about it anymore. And we want Tai Chi to be just like that. We want to be spontaneous. We want to be natural. So all of these practices are helpful for people who are learning and practicing their Tai Chi. So we're going to cover in this session what I call the study of the 3 Dantiens and how to move the energy through them and why. We're going to look at and examine the Qua quite carefully, the hip area, and we're also going to look at the root and the feet and make sure that that's all together. Of course, all of these are going to tie together. But we can examine each and every one of them. I was thinking about this, that the feet are sort of like the root of a plant. The Qua and torso are like the stem of the plant. Or the leaves of the plant. So we're going to go and look at the root first, and then we're going to look at the sort of stem, at the flower portion. All right? So I highly recommend, rather than just for those of you who are watching this on television, please get up and practice these exercises. Even if you don't do Tai Chi particularly, just doing these exercises and attempting to integrate this learning will help you in almost everything that you do. Help you to integrate your body so that your body becomes intelligent in and of itself and moves naturally and appropriately. So let's just take a moment to turn to this and just to kind of, this is such a traditional kind of exercise to get the body kind of loosened, just lightly turning the waist. We're sort of warming up the torso and establishing our root, keeping the feet solidly on the floor, loosening and opening the shoulder, and getting the energy moving from the center out to the periphery. Before basically every session, every class, always do this as a little warm-up. And then you can roll down. roll up. And gently, just gentle shake to loosen. Very gentle. Shoulders and shake. I remind you, as always, that the chi needs to flow freely through the body for health to happen. And tension restricts the flow of chi. So we need to loosen, constantly be working on loosening and relaxing. Then the chi will flow easily. Okay, then we take our Wu Chi stance for a moment. Feet shoulder width. Feel the feet solidly on the ground, knees soft, pelvis slightly tucked under, top of the head lifting. Shoulders, upper ribs, suspended from the body. Breathing in and out through the nose, directing the breath to the lower belly. And we take an integration breath, or shogong. We inhale. Open the body up. And just allow the cosmic energy that streams down to come into the body and just sink and move its way easily through the body. Drops down to the lower Dantien, what we call the lower belly. It sits for a moment. Things that you don't want or don't need, just settle down and open up the lower body and let them just drop out and root out through the floor. Integration breath. All right, so we're going to be working mostly with what we call the bow and sit stance. Now, this is just easy, stepping ahead, back foot approximately 45-degree angle to the front direction. The back and torso are always going to remain straight and upright and relaxed. Let the pelvis just naturally hang down and keep the head naturally sort of lifting up comfortably. Okay, now I want to start with what's important, because we're going to be doing a lot of this back and forth motion. The feeling of the feet. Now the feet are going to root the body, support the body, generate. They're the platform for generating the energy. So, first off, you want to make sure that when you're moving, say, forward and backward, like so, that you don't move the feet. You don't want to let anything like this happen. When you're going back, anything lift up. When you're going forward, anything happen. No. Once you've rooted the feet in this particular exercise, they stay. It's like sort of like they're velcroed onto the ground. Okay. Now, what is important to start with thinking about, that mostly people don't talk too much about, but it's very important, is what we call gather to the inside of the foot and release from the outside of the foot. When the foot, for instance, my right foot, my back foot, is accepting the energy basically moves to the inside of the foot. I can feel it mostly on like my big toe, my heel, and the inside arch. When we move forward or give the energy outward, it comes from the heel or from the outside, the little toe, the heel, the outside arch. All right? So when we come onto a foot, we gather to the inside of the foot. When we press forward or backward, depending upon releasing the energy moving, it goes to the heel or to the outside. It's the same thing with the forward foot. As I move my weight onto the forward foot, it goes to the inside of the forward foot predominantly. And when I press, it presses from the heel or from the outside. Now this is very important because just like I said, you do not want to let any of the foot lose contact with the ground. If when you're coming back, if you look at my feet here for a moment, if when I'm coming back, I root to the outside of the foot, it's easy for the inside to lift up, for the energy to go too far behind and lose their balance. It also puts a lot of stress on the hip and on the outside of the knee. So you do not want to accept to the outside because easy to lose your balance. When I come to the inside of the foot, it makes my foot heavier and presses into it. The same thing happens when I go forward. If I press forward from the inside of the foot, it's very easy for the outside of the foot to release, which you don't want to. It's then the hips collapse, and there's a whole lot of, when we get to the hip, there's a whole lot of other things that we will see, reason not to. Okay? So, you gather to the inside of the foot. When you move forward, you feel the weight on the inside. When you release the energy, you press from the heel. Okay? So, this is gather to the inside, release from the outside. So concurrently, as one foot is gathering, one foot is releasing. This is what we call yin and yang, and this is what Tai Chi is about, balancing the two energies, the inside, the incoming, and the outflow. When we gather back, we call this gathering or yin energy. We're sinking the energy into the body. This is yin. Yin energy sinks downward, inward. When we move forward, this becomes yang. The energy is moving up. It's moving outward. So yin and yang. But you see one side, this is a predominantly, this, as I move forward, is predominantly a yang movement. But at the same time, there's certain yin qualities, like this foot is becoming yin. It's gathering, my forward foot is balancing with some yin. So I don't become too yang, I don't become too one-sided. By having some yin, even though it's a yang movement, even though the movement is going out, there is some yin in there to balance and keep it, always. Okay, so gather to the inside and releasing from the outside. So this is the first thing we want to make sure that we've got. That you can feel you're using your feet. Your feet are open, it's like a cat. They're open, they're feeling the ground, and they're working. Okay? All right, so I'm going to change feet here. I'm going to do a little on this side. Again, the back foot wants to be approximately a 45-degree angle to the front foot. The back is relaxed. And feeling, gather to the inside and releasing. Yin and yang, forward and backward. We generally think of coming back onto the foot as gather, moving forward as sort of dispersing, creating. This is getting everything ready, and here's the creation of the energy. Building, gathering, centering, and here the energy is moving out and going out. So this is what we call in and we call out, or gather. Sometimes we call release, but it's not really release, but it's as good a term as almost anything. So when you're doing this, you want to think about, always in Tai Chi, we stay on the same level. We don't go up and down, that we just stay on the same level. All right. So this is the roots. Part of the kind of moving structure of the body is to make sure that the knees go in the direction of the toes. That's another principle that's utmost important, that your knees always go in the direction of the toes. If they don't, you can easily hurt yourself, hurt your structure. Pay attention. Even when you're coming back, make sure the knee is still going in the direction of the toe. When you're forward, this back knee still is going in the direction of the back toe. There's a tendency to collapse. If you let, this is part of the whole rooting structure. If you're moving forward and you let this back knee collapse inward, it pulls the foot inward, and I cannot release from the heel or from the outside of the foot, the knee and hip are collapsing. So, but keep the knee in the direction of the toe. It will keep your feet pressing downward, making you more solid. Okay, so for the root portion of this, we have the feet solid on the ground, open. We have gather to the inside and release from the outside. And we have the knees making sure they go in the direction of the toes. No Tai Chi forms are correct unless these particular principles are followed. It's really the only way to generate a lot of energy. Okay? Okay, so that's the root. Okay. And you might want to shake out a little bit, which is also good after you've been doing the working on your knees and working on your feet. Okay, so that's the root. Next, we're going to move up into the sort of stem portion, and what I want to work on and talk about, and it's going to integrate with the root, is the qua, the hip area. The qua is right in through the head of the femur, all right in this inguinal crotch kind of area. And people ask me, well, you know, what is it? How do I find it? How do I recognize it? And I said, well, if you just squat, there it is. If you go to jump up, let's say you want to jump up, there it is. The more you want to jump, the more energy you want to release is the more you gather, the more you crouch down, and then when you release it, you go up or wherever you go. So this area where you gather, for instance, if I was a runner, a sprinter, you'd see you gather energy into here and then you release it to take off very quickly. So this qua area is where the energy from the leg is in Tai Chi. Most energy, effective energy, comes from the legs being compressed like a spring. That's why we crouch in Tai Chi. If I'm standing up here, there's not much compression on my leg. I can't generate very much energy. When I'm down, now you can see that there's a lot of crouch here, a lot of compression in this place. When I release it, there's a lot more energy. And so you have all of this compressed energy, and the qua is the thing that's going to allow it to move to the upper portion of the body smoothly. If you don't use your qua, nothing much is going to happen. So when you want to release your energy, you gather into the leg, and the qua gets flexed. When you release, you press the foot down, and the qua opens, and out comes the energy. It's sort of like a dam. You build up the energy behind the dam, which is the qua. When you open the dam, the chi flows out. Any sport, I cannot think of any sport that doesn't use the same principles. Baseball, you see, you wind up here and you step, you release here, and bam. Tennis, you know, it's all in the legs and the waist. And golf, it's all in the hip. And the football, you know, it's all here. You don't see a football player just throw the ball like this. It's the whole body. It's the whole waist, hip, leg, everything. So, whatever your activity is, you're going to use your legs and qua. Okay. Now, here's another principle that's not talked about in Tai Chi very much, and but I think it's the sort of the utmost importance of how to open and close the qua. It's like these floodgates. We want to open and close these floodgates. When we gather, when I come back, when I gather, the qua actually closes. There's gates that close. When I move forward, the Qua opens and the Qi can flow outward. When you come back, now there's in Tai Chi, for stability reasons, for Qi reasons, we use an image called screwing the energy in and out of the earth. It's like a screwdriver. When you come back, when I come back onto this foot, the energy moves, twists upward in this sort of fashion. One is going to go clockwise. The back foot's going to go counterclockwise. The energy is going to come up into the quads, into the lower belly, and into the qua in this fashion. This is what closes the gate up, which gathers the energy and closes it. Then, as I want to release it, it screws outward and downward and opens, and the energy you can see would flow through it. So if you think of the hips, what's going to happen is you're going to close, the energy is going to screw inward into here, it screws outward and downward. So the Qua is not only going this way, but it's also going this way. So here, it's compressing and also gathering here, and as we release, it opens. So the hip joint, if you could feel your hip joints, what happens is the hip joints are rotating inward when you come back, and the hip joints are rotating outward as you move forward. Now, as you notice, if you look and feel inside your body, when you come back and you gather this energy into the Qua, the energy moves to the inside of the foot. You gather to the inside of the foot when this closing happens. You feel it. Then, when you move forward, you screw out, this hips open up, and the energy moves to the heel and to the outside of the foot. It's very natural. All these things are starting to integrate. As you come back, the energy is screwing upward, the hips are closing, and the energy is moving to the inside of the foot. When you move forward, the hips open, the knees open, the buttocks is actually, if you can see, the buttocks is tucking under the pelvis. So here, it was like, if you could, here my back is open, back of me. Now, as we move forward, as my hip opens, naturally the buttocks tucks under and sort of compresses, and it pushes the energy up and out. When you come back, there's sort of a releasing, gathering quality. This is softer and easier. This is what we call yin. The energy is gathering to the center. When we move forward, this is called yang. It becomes firmer and more solid and out. So this is gathering in and out. If I had a screwdriver here, this would pull up and screw counterclockwise, and as we move forward, it screws clockwise and opens. And the other would be doing the opposite. Okay. Now, while you're doing this, let's change feet. This is why it's very important to do this all slowly and easily. Yin has a quality of softness. When I'm back, I'm pausing, I'm relaxing, I'm gathering, I'm soft. If anything was to bump me back here, I'd be very relaxed, very open, very, it's actually not, it's gathering, but it's very soft. Receptive, we call it. When you move forward, when this energy comes out, it starts to firm up. And now, when I'm all the way forward, every space in my body is full. all the intercellular spaces are like full. When we come back, there's a draining. All those intercellular spaces are sort of like little balloons. They all sort of lose some of their air to the center. It moves to here. It moves out everywhere. It moves in and down to the center. This must sound and might sound very complicated. It's very simple. It's very natural, and once you get it, it's very simple. And if you're studying Tai Chi, it's very important. So this is gathered, and this is release. The hips are opening, gathering the inside of the back foot, and opening. The knees are open, the pelvis is open. You're open, you're firm, you're yang. Now slowly and easily, this is going to drain back down the center. So we're opening and firm. We're relaxing, 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 gathering, gathering, gathering to the center. So the quad is the place where all this energy from the legs is being sort of like the transmission of a car, I'd say, something like that. It decides where and how much of the energy is going to go outward. Okay? And it can be done fast and slow. You can do it, straight forward and straight back. You don't have to turn here, closing in and opening and closing and opening. So you can't do this foot thing without the hip. The hip and the feet obviously work together because you cannot close the hip and go out to the heel. You cannot have one part of your foot going out and this coming in. The legs always going to have to work together. Okay, so I want to check out. Now, I wish we were together so that you could ask me questions about this. I know this might appear kind of odd in a way, but as you do it and as you work on this, I think that you'll find it very interesting. And to study what's happening inside the body and how the body functions is probably, I think, the most interesting thing there is. I mean, what's more interesting, a plant or your own body, or how the sun revolves around the moon, or the moon revolves around the sun, or we revolve around whoever? All of those things are interesting, but don't you think what's happening inside your own body deserves as much attention? Okay, so we've looked at the root, which is the feet and knees. Now we're looking at the stem, the qua area. Now let's look at the torso and controlling mechanism, which we call the mind. Now this all goes along with something that in the Chinese natural medicine is called the Dantiens, 3 Dantiens. Now Dantien sort of means reservoir of energy. And we have 3 major reservoirs of energy in the body. Physical reservoir is in the guts, the lower belly. We call lower Dantien. Dantien is the term that we're going to basically use instead of reservoir or field of elixir or something. We're going to use Dantien. The lower Dantien controls the physical body. Now, when a cell is fertilized, the egg and the sperm come together and make us the beginning cell. It then divides and it attaches to the mother's womb, uterus. And this is the point it's the belly button. This is where the first cells of our body were attaching to our mother. This umbilical cord forms to these basic first cells. And from this, everything else expands outward. As cells form, they form, boom, boom, boom. We grow. So this area around the belly button, this is the physical center of the body. This controls our growth. This area is concerned with survival and instinctual actions. Like eating. When you're hungry, it's your guts. You're hungry here. You're hungry in the guts. Procreation, lust. Pornography is all based in this area. Certain, lustful things are down here. Instinctual behaviors. Elimination is all in here. Okay, and this happens through most of the maturation process of our body. The centers are low, our center of gravity is low, we're fat down here, and we're short little legs, and all that kind of stuff. And so, not much energy. Little children don't think very much. Nothing much is going on. It's just, moving from their center. They learn to move their body. They learn their body senses and all that. When this matures, it's sort of like a plant in its stages. When this matures, it allows out of this to come up. The energy then can come up into the middle Dantian, which has to do with relationships, which happens to do with you and me, with falling in love and with feelings of concern for other things other than yourself. You have like a puppy. When you love your animal, you feel it in your heart. In the center, middle Dantian is right in the center of your heart. When you love somebody else, don't you feel it in your heart? And it's so different than lust. Lust you feel down in your lower Dantian. Love you feel in the heart. So when you've matured as an individual, the energy moves up to the heart, and you are able to then relate. Okay, so after you have this relations, you learn to relate to other people, you're maturing as an individual, the next stage is then the energy can finally move up, and you can think about the planet. You can think about global warming, about who's going to come after us. It's like with global warming, I personally don't probably need to be much concerned about it. I don't have any children. I'm going to be gone probably before all the supposed terrible things are going to come down. But if you do have children, I am concerned about what follows me. I'm concerned about the planet. So the energy now moves up to here. I'm starting to think about creating things that are going to outlive me. I'm going to think about death and reincarnation and all of that kind of stuff and what comes after this life. And so that is part of this. Or when you're sitting at the beach and all of a sudden it's just the most beautiful sight you've ever seen. You're just so open, and all of a sudden this inspired thought comes down, something you've never thought about before. It's inspiration. This is the work of the upper Dantian, this area up in here. So we have the three Dantians. The lower Dantian, which is the survival, basic. The middle Dantian, which is relationship. Upper Dantian, which is inspiring, caring, willpower, that kind of stuff all happens up here. And why this is important for a Dantien study, the Dantien study for our Taiji, is that in every single movement, the energy follows through and moves through these Dantiens. The beginning part, the lower body, the lower Dantien is yin, the upper Dantien is yang. Energy as it moves upward becomes yang, as it moves inward and down becomes yin. So we can say the first part of every movement is yin. We relax, we gather the energy to the center. This is yin. Then as you then react with somebody else, you attach to them, you have some interaction, it moves to the Dantian. And finally, when the action is done, it moves to the upper Dantian and you're full. And immediately it drops down again to start the cycle again. And it's like the tides and it's like everything else. Our health is dependent on the energy movement, the energy flow. It's like the tide. If the tide doesn't come in and out, the water stagnates and the water becomes sick, diseased, fish die, all these terrible problems. But if we follow the natural course of the tides coming in and out, it washes and cleans and does everything that it needs to be doing. So, in the course for our health, we need to be moving the energy up and down, in and out, right and left, in order to keep it working and balanced, so it doesn't stagnate. And that's what our Tai Chi is doing. Every time I move forward and backward, I'm pumping the energy through my body and causing this healthful movement of energy and chi. Blood and chi move together. So if my blood is moving, my chi is moving, and it's all happening. Okay. So if we go back to this bow and sit stance and that we were just basic exercise. We go back to this basic exercise. I'll show you how the three Dantiens get involved in this action. So when I'm balanced in the middle, nothing is happening, that's fine. There's basically nothing going on, what we call Wu Qi. Now, when I sink the weight onto the back foot, the energy moves downward and inward. The hips are closing and gathering. This is yin. I'm gathering. Yin. The energy is moving to the inside. It's my lower Dantian. I'm involved with survival, with taking care of myself. Now, as the body starts to move forward, the hips start to open. The energy starts to move upward. When I'm about halfway, the energy is now filled up to about my middle Dantian. And as I move all the way forward, my hips are all forward, my body is full, and the energy has moved all the way up to the top part of my upper Dantian. Then, as we move back, the energy starts releasing and starts to sink down to the middle Dantian and down to the lower Dantian. So it's energy middle, upper, middle, lower. Now again, it's sort of like a thermometer or something. As it's coming forward, it needs the support of all that's behind it. It's not all of a sudden just here when I'm forward and nothing else down here. No, all of this is full. And then here, it's dropping down and dropping down. It becomes more solid in the lower portion. So this is what we call the energy moving through the three Dantiens. And the consciousness here is in my lower belly. Now my consciousness sort of around, right in through here, in my immediate environment. And now my consciousness is out, including the whole space and everything around me. Then the energy starts to move down into this space right nearby me, and finally into my interior. So there's this, if we could see auras, my aura is extending as far out as is possible for me at this time. And now my aura is drawing in and drawing in and drawing in until it's basically just a little beyond my skin. And it's going stronger and stronger and stronger. And in and in and in. I hope that you can understand this. And you don't need to even be moving back and forth. You can stand and feel energy in the lower Dantian. Energy moves the upper Dantian. Middle Dantian. Energy moves the upper Dantian. And feel like a sort of an internal pressure. And then this pressure sort of lets off and it sinks, and lets off and it sinks, and lets off and it sinks. So you can do this as a standing meditation, as a sitting meditation. It's very helpful. In the yogic system, we have what are called chakras, and there are seven chakras, and it's the same process. Falling from the bottom, from the lower Dantian, but there's more of them. But it's the same idea. And the idea is to move this energy, refine it, and move it upward. And refining means to add consciousness. Our consciousness is like a fire. What we call Chinese, we call yi, or conscious thought. And this fire of the mind is placed under the liquidness of the body. The body internally is very liquid. We're mostly water. And when the consciousness of fire gets stronger and stronger, it causes this water inside us to boil and become steam, which rises and moves upward. But it takes control, and it takes opening the body to be able to do that. If you don't have the right pathways cleared off, when you light this fire, maybe something can happen that you don't really want to have happen. But if you follow the path that is being lined out by those who have been there before, that's why it's really important to have a teacher, or to read really extensively, and to find somebody who you really believe in, who you think has been down this path before and can lead you there, because there's a lot of different little blind alleys you can get caught in. And a lot of people, charlatans, are taking advantage of people's desire to achieve enlightenment. So, look carefully. And when you're looking for a teacher, find somebody who you can believe in. And then follow their way, because they've been there and they know what works and what you need to be careful of. Okay, so in Tai Chi as a form of self-defense, Tai Chi Chuan's a martial art. We have to follow the same process of lower Dantian, middle Dantian, upper Dantian. When my opponent, say if I'm standing here, when my opponent strikes out at me, what do I need to do? Do I need to firm up and become very solid and try to withstand it? Or do I empty and relax? Well, of course you relax. Instinctually, we tighten up. Properly, we should relax. When we relax, the body can absorb a lot of energy. It's like I had this friend when I was in college. This guy was infamous around where I lived because he was always drunk. And he would get up and fall off of a second-story building, or he'd fall downstairs, or he would do these crazy things. Because he was always drunk, he never hurt himself. He was boom, 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 boom down the stairs, and he wouldn't hurt himself because he was so relaxed. But I have other good friends who just hurt himself because when he was falling, he tightened up and then hit something very hard and hurt himself. I'm not saying we should all be drunk, but I'm saying that we should be able to loosen up at the appropriate moment. Okay, when somebody is striking out, immediately I need to protect myself. And what is the center for self-protection? The lower dantian. So immediately, when somebody's striking out, I loosen and the energy moves to the lower dantian for protection. The rest is, it could be hit, nothing, if I'm soft, it's not going to hurt much. Okay, then in Tai Chi, the first step is first to loosen and relax, bring the energy to the lower body. The second stage is to attach to the energy. Somehow I touch this energy. At that stage, I've started a relationship. I now have a relationship with this person. So my energy is moving to my middle dantian. Even though I might not have changed my position, they're punching out at me, and I go into this survival, but I grab them. Now I have a relationship. It's in the middle. At this point, I then, through the action, through studying Tai Chi, I then can return the energy to them, and my energy goes up to the upper dantian, where I fill up and accomplish some task. Now I'm full, but only for an instant, and then I immediately go into relaxation again. Or depending upon the movement, it goes back to the middle dantian or to the lower dantian. Every movement of Tai Chi follows this principle. Go into the lower, go into the middle, go into the upper. Okay? And it's instinctual, and it's effective, and it's the way it should be. So, what I think I'm going to do is let's look at. I want to say something about this upper dantian. This upper dantian, as I said, is willpower. It's the conscious mind. We have an instinctual mind. We have an instinctual mind which resides mostly in the lower dantian. That survival mind is the base of the skull. It's the thing that makes decisions without you making the decision. But we have this conscious mind, thinking mind. This mind, when we go to do this full motion, this mind says, I am accomplishing this task no matter what. I am overcoming whatever it is. I'm doing exactly what I want to do. It knows without failure that it's going to accomplish this task. It's called what we call willpower. And we bring this willpower completely, confidently to the task. That doesn't mean that I can't immediately go back into survival mode when something changes. But when you're doing your forms and when you're doing whatever it is that you're doing in your life, when you decide you're going to do it, you do it wholeheartedly and you bring that power of the upper dantian into play. So as I'm going to demonstrate this first section, let's look at all of these various elements and see how they all wrap up and how important and how the form is completely dependent on these elements. As a Tai Chi instructor and as somebody who's been in this field for 40 years, I've seen every kind of form there is and every practitioner, and particularly people who have done dance a lot, They do beautiful forms. And it can be just incredibly beautiful. It can be relaxed, it can be open, it can be flowing. But not very many people are able to, not that they're not able to, but they just don't know about gathering this chi, working with the chi at these deeper levels. Because it's not talked about very much. When I studied with my instructor, we didn't talk about it. We just did the forms. And you did what you did. And you got what you got. And if you were astute enough, you could see that he was doing this naturally. But I didn't know. But most instructors don't talk about it. They just do it. And so it's left up to you to discover these things for yourself. And so I'm sharing them with you from my experience, and hopefully it'll help you in some way or other in your practice. Okay. I'm going to go through this, and let's see how this all applies, all right? So this is what we call Wu Chi stance. We're just standing, we're standing relaxedly. Now I want to gather energy. The first movement is commencement of Tai Chi Chuan. So I want to gather and release and relax. Right now I don't have, all my Dantiens are just open. I'm not conscious of any place being predominant. Then, all of a sudden I decide, okay, I'm going to do my practice, so I drop the energy gently and easily. It drops to the lower Dantien. My hips start to close and gather. The energy gathers. There's a slight screw up. My knees are starting to bend a little bit. Energy screws up into the lower Dantien. Then, I open. So here, the energy moves to the middle, moves to the upper Dantien. The energy is screwing out from the heel of the foot. My body is full. This point, it releases down. The energy starts to drop down to the lower Dantien. It's releasing downward and downward. The energy is screwing up my leg, up. Then, energy moves upward, until I'm completely full. Now, it doesn't mean hard and stiff, it means full. And then it relaxes down to the lower Dantien. Then it moves upward, middle, upward, completely full. And now it releases back down. So that's commencement of Tai Chi. We felt all these things going on. Now I'm ready to start the form. The first piece is I'm in the lower Dantien. My partner is coming in, punching in. I'm in my lower Dantien. Now it's moving up, and I'm in the middle Dantien. I'm touching somebody now with my hand. I'm still relaxed, but I'm touching, so I've got a relationship going. Now, I'm still in I'm in my middle Dantien, or the lower middle Dantien. There's various degrees, of course, in all of these. The energy is gathering into this hip. The energy is pulling up into this hip. Step forward. Now, the energy is moving up. Now I'm completely full. It's in the upper Dantien. The energy is screwing out in the back, in the feet. Completely open. Yang. Now, yin. I'm moving down to the lower Dantien, back into survival, back into relaxation. Now, here, I attach to my partner. So I move to the middle Dantien. Now, I'm opening upper Dantien, and the hips are now open. The whole body is full. Then, roll back. The hips are closing, gathering. The energy is dropping down to the lower part of the middle Dantien, because I'm still attached here. I'm still attached. press. The energy is coming forward. Feeling, feeling, pull. I'm screwing out the hips. Hips are opening, open. Then relaxing. Energy's dropping back down, dropping down. I'm gathering the chi to the hip. Hips are closing. Then hips are opening. Energy comes from the heel, full, completely full. And then relaxes. Energy relaxes back down to the lower Dantian. Still in the lower Dantian. Now, at this point, I attach. So it moves up to the middle Dantian. Now, as I'm carrying through, it's moving up, up, up to the upper Dantian. I'm full, yang. Hips are opening. Hips are screwing out. Then, energy's moving down, down, down to the lower Dantian. I'm touching. Now I'm touching. Now it moves to the middle Dantian. Middle Dantian. Now it's coming up. Hips are opening. Hips are open, full, yang. Huh? Now energy moves down, down to the lower Dantian. Now I'm touching, so it's moving up to the middle Dantian. Now as I carry through the movement, the energy's coming up, 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 and now it's full up. The hip, even though I have weight on one foot, hip opening up. Left brush knee. Okay. Coming into the center, energy's dropping down, relaxing. Hips closing. We step out. Yeah. Now, I'm in touching, so it's middle Dantian, upper, 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 and then lower, etc. Okay, I think I'll stop there. Now, so the important thing about this kind of practice is you have to know the applications. You have to know what you want to do. You know how to direct your mind. When are you touching somebody? When is somebody coming in? When are you carrying through? So that's a whole practice that's very important application. So make sure you know your applications so you can set your consciousness to direct your body, direct your energy. And then your Tai Chi will be something that will just keep you amazed for your whole life, as opposed to just sort of nothing. You know, it will keep you amazed, keep you interested. You'll want to study, and you'll want to gain control of your energy. So I hope that you can put some of these practices into your own private practice, and I wish you a lot of success. Thank you, as always, and good luck.